Hello viewers, this week's Daily Race B, Suzuka Group 3, looks like a very typical kind of daily race that you'd find on Gran Turismo, but kind of unexpectedly it turned out to be one of my favourite races in recent times. Let's take a look. Now I say unexpectedly because this race is actually one that comes up quite a lot. Quite repetitive, often it doesn't produce too much magic, but this time was a little bit different. Now I set my qualifying lap a 1:59.1, which is a decent time, I think, for this circuit in this category. But that was only good enough for 4th place. And as you'll see over the course of this video, the races seem to get better and better. So we're starting with the worst one, technically, first. Now, starting in 4th, behind this Dodge Viper, is a car that I didn't really see too much in Group 3, actually. So I was kind of expecting, well, not expecting, but hoping to get past that car and move on to the podium. However, as you'll see there, that hairpin turned out to be the bane of my life, and I seem to really be unable to take it properly or well. One thing hindering me though, of course, is the BMW M6, which is difficult to drive as proven by that car in front, especially through that very slow awkward corner. It seems to handle worse than the Titanic did on that fateful day. But we move on to the end of lap 3, and I'm looking for P3 here, and the main chance I have of getting it is now catching up with this fellow BMW driver, who in turn gets himself a 0.5 second penalty. Now it wasn't going to be long before I'd actually get the overtake done, because heading down towards turn 1, which is actually quite awkward to do in this car, cleanly and properly, as once again demonstrated by the car in front. He makes a mistake and I'm able to get through on the exit and move up into 3rd. Now, not too much else happened there, so you're probably thinking, Super GT, you've just clickbaited me. Trust me, I haven't, because they only get better and better, these races, as I did say. So this one, starting P6 this time, so quite a few more people in the lobby, with a few different cars on offer. I mean, most of us here in the top 6, 4 of us choosing the BMW. There is a Huracan in there. There is a GTR in there. There is a Porsche behind. So good variety, I suppose. Now look at this. Massive dive bomb. Kind of didn't really mean to do it. Didn't really have the intention of going for it. But the guy braked so early, you know what? I thought, let's just send it. Why not? It obviously paid off. And we now move up into 5th place. Now, the guy behind did get a bit of a better run on the exit. So I did have to be mindful of that into turn 1. But he wasn't close enough to get a chance at re-overtaking me. So I remain now in 5th place with the top 2 going side by side through the S's in Sector 1. And I can advise you right now that that's not ideal and is going to slow you down. So is this, me driving really badly for this right-hander. I mean, a bit of a moment, almost losing control completely, but just managing to gather it up in time to continue. Heading in towards the hairpin, lap number 2 then. Again, side by side with the top 2. These two are really going at it. We receive a helping hand from behind. Go a little bit wide and get some bumper damage for our troubles through there. So I was thinking, you know what, I was going to probably lose a load of time for the next couple of straights because of the damage. But no, the top 2 continued to knock 50 Shades of Grey out of each other. And this therefore brought me back into the battle immediately, even despite the bumper damage. So now we have a real chance of gaining a good couple of positions here. 5 laps this race, so roughly 10 minutes in length. As we head through 130R, the BMW in 3rd, drifting very wide. That's going to give him dirty tyres, and I'm able to get the space on the outside into the chicane. So 2 overtakes in the chicane, 1 on the inside, 1 on the outside, 6th to 4th in 2 laps. And we have 3 more laps to gain 3 more positions. Is it possible? Well, yes, it is possible, but am I going to do it? Well, you'll find out, I suppose, won't you? Heading towards turn 1. And just keeping that car nicely rotated through there. That was actually beautiful. Quite happy with that. As I said, this car, not the easiest to drive these days. I think Group 3, a little bit trickier in recent months after some updates to the physics. And you see I'm proving that point there by just driving so badly through the hairpin that I really need to sort that out. So the guy in front making a similar mistake, drifting a little bit too wide, then gets a massive tank slap, has a huge moment. And for the good of everyone at Suzuka Circuit today, he teleports back in time and gets reset. That could have been a very nasty accident for everyone involved. Luckily, there was only him involved, and he was the only victim. So loses the position. I'm up into third, albeit now with the Lamborghini side by side with me, into the braking zone of turn 1. We've got the inside line. We are going to keep the position for now. So, good fighting here, good battling, and unfortunately, with that poor run through the chicane, I was a bit distracted by the guy going a bit wide and getting teleported back in time. I lost a lot of time to second place, and by this point I kind of changed my mindset. Our priorities have changed. We're not really going to go for anything better than third. It's about defending our position from this Lamborghini, which is really all over me now, and probably quicker, but not much left in this race, so I might as well just defend it and try to preserve a podium from here to the end. So on the exit Spoon Corner, we're going to go back to the entry of it on the final lap, because this is where the Lamborghini has a good chance to get this position. This is always an awkward moment in any Suzuka race when someone gets the run on you heading towards 130R, because you don't really want to have to defend on the inside on this corner, but given that it's the final lap, I kind of have to. And then it's a case of just not overshooting, not going too wide on the exit. Once again, covering the inside. He can have the outside if he wants into the chicane, but it's going to be quite unlikely to get that position from there. And so, with a fine defence, some good offence in the early stage of the race, I'm going to get a nice little podium there. So very happy with that one. Now this race, my goodness, this one has some really quirky moments. I'm not going to cover it in any lengthy fashion. As you can see there, the guy in front using the classic lag switch defense, and I was not sure of his whereabouts at all for any moment there, because it looked like he was driving off into the barriers, then suddenly reappeared back in front of me, and I think it's fair to say that's quite off-putting, hence the reason why I lost control. Now, out of the 5 races I showcase in this video, this one here was easily my worst one. So, you know, it's not always going to produce magic. Sometimes you're just going to have a bad race, and that's just how it is. And this was the case and point of that. Finishing 7th, a lonely finish there. I decided, therefore, to move over to the Nissan GTR. The BMW is clearly a strong car for this race. There's no question about that. Probably the best car. Definitely one of the best. But I decided to move over to the GTR, something a little bit different, and perhaps it could help me through that hairpin, which clearly I have a curse around because I just seemed completely unable to drive it. GTR seems to have slightly better rotation than BMW. BMW's weakness, I think, has always been sort of low speed and low speed traction. And so we're trying to do something about it with our car choice. The GTR has always been one of my go-tos in Group 3. So let's see if we can do it. Into the hairpin, lap number 1, down into gear 1, get that rotation, drive off in second gear. That seemed a bit better that time. Although I am following 2 BMWs, so I'm only on par with them. So once again, our friend here, utilising the classic lag defence, and should probably phone his internet provider in the morning to get some answers, because it's really affecting my ability to race him properly. Into the chicane then. 2 cars in front went wide onto the AstroTurf, and after a bit of contact, having a bit of a slide as well, I'm up the inside here of Luke, in the toe of Joseph. I'm going to dummy left, go right, 2 wheels on the grass, nearly 4. Let's make sure we don't overshoot here into turn 1 and then turn 2. Good fighting. Well respected between all of us there, I think. Yes, there was some contact, but I think in overall terms, all the intentions were good. And so we continue the race. And you can see on the radar 3 cars immediately behind, so there's 5 of us in this group. Very, very close company. And so, you know, of course we can move forward, but any mistake will be severely punished by a few overtakes. Now, I was trying to really open up this guy and just get him to open up the inside. He just was not having any of it, covering fully to the insides. Was I therefore able to go around the outside? No, not quite. Really difficult to pull that off. However, the way that I did get past him was quite hilarious, as we're about to see. Because heading towards Degner 1 here, we go through. All seems normal. All seems normal. And then suddenly, he appears 90 degrees on the apex, which is one of the top 1 strategies of all time. As we take a look at that replay there, it's always nice when your opponent just appears 90 degrees perpendicular on the apex and there's nothing you can do. So here's his perspective of that crash. And there he goes, off into the sand. So it was just a beautiful move there, you know, just to park yourself on the apex, perpendicular, and get in the way. So we're going to move swiftly on to the next race, where I started 7th. And this was the race, guys. This was the one. This was the one you've been waiting for. This is the race which I really enjoyed, and I hope you will enjoy as well. Because we start 7th, which is, as you may remember, the worst position we've started in this video so far. I've been slowly moving backwards because I haven't really been improving my qualifying time. Although I did improve it to a 59.0 as opposed to a 59.1 at the start of the video. So a small improvement there, but not good enough to keep me sort of in the top 5. So a lot more work to be done from here. And once again, you know, our friend in front, who's lagging all over the place, is not going to make things easy for us. And so a lot of work here to be done from 7th with only 5 laps to do it. Roughly 10 minutes of racing, roughly. Suzuka, roughly 2 minutes per lap. So let's see what we can do here. As we head into the hairpin with the BMW in the lead, having an awful time going through there. The Titanic turned faster around that iceberg. Oh wait, it didn't go around it, did it? As we head towards Spoon Corner, I've lost a bit of time here. So it's clearly something I have to work on, and if you watch my live stream where I did this race, you will notice that I kind of worked it out. I just wasn't cranking enough angle on the steering wheel. It sounds obvious, but sometimes you don't want to do that because it just scrubs way too much speed. But perhaps just getting used to the SimMagic wheel still at this moment in time. So still some laggy experiences here being shown from in front there. But just look at that group in front. That is an almighty gaggle if I ever saw one. And as we head into the chicane, it looks like 3 abreast in front. Unfortunately, the Hungarian driver in the Ford GT is going to get hung out to dry on the outside and lose the position. I move up into 6th. Looks like we have a run here, not quite. But I wasn't able to get past this guy into turn 1 with 2 attempts in the previous race. But look at this. Put him narrow. He goes in a bit too hot. And we perform a textbook old switcheroo. So to some extent, it was about my timing of my movement. If I move quite late, it just puts that other driver in an awkward position where they kind of have to look in the mirror just at that wrong moment. When they're just heading into that corner, thinking about braking, they're then looking in the mirror because I've just moved across slightly. And, you know, a slight misjudgment, and the overtake is done. And so, good positioning there, I think. Up into 5th place. And absolutely some potential here of further positions given the close nature of the top 5 now. I've moved away slightly, as you can see, from the car behind, which is the Ford GT, the Hungarian driver who got hung out to dry in the previous lap. Up now behind, got a max power. I don't know if you just saw the radar then, guys. Someone just came in like a wrecking ball and left the lobby. So some bad manners, some ill tempers back there. And I'm just glad I'm not in and amongst that. And I must say, if that's one piece of advice I can give you for cleaner online racing is, well, 2 pieces of advice. 1, get yourself into the higher lobbies, higher rated sportsmanship lobbies, and driver rating as well, ideally. But then 2, just try and qualify towards the front, because in the middle and the back, that's where the chaos tends to find itself. Not always the case. Not always the case. It can find itself anywhere, as it almost does here, as the Lamborghini has a bit of a moment through the chicane. Is Max Powell going to be able to capitalise? No. In fact, I'm going to capitalise on his mistake there, as he doesn't quite move to the right-hand side early enough to claim the slipstream of the Lamborghini in front. And so that'll be my job, as I move then up into 4th place. So the trajectory here so far has been rather fantastic. 7th to 4th in 2 laps. That is an upward trend, for those wondering. And that's what we want. That's a good thing. So I'm going to try and continue that trend. 3 positions taken so far. 3 more to get. Is it possible? Well, I said this before. Yes, it's possible, but doesn't mean it's going to happen. We'll just have to watch to find out. So as we head round towards Degner, we're hoping, ideally, for one of these cars to not appear perpendicular on the apex, stationary. And luckily enough for me today, that doesn't happen. It's kind of a rubbish time when that happens. It's not an ideal scenario to find yourself in. So through the hairpin, once again, the bane of my life, the final boss of the Super GT universe, the Suzuka hairpin, and I'm yet to defeat it. I'm now on the back foot, and this is going to set the trend a little bit now, the next couple of laps, where I'm not quite on the pace of the top 3, where perhaps I could be, as maybe 1, still getting used to the GTR, but 2, just not quite driving perfectly, or at least by my standards. There's driving perfectly by your own standards, then there's driving perfectly, which is a different thing, which no one can technically do. Anyway, into the chicane, lap number 3, 2 to go after this one. And once again, it's just a really close battle. It's really good to see. Yes, there's 2 BMWs at the front there, but there's a Lamborghini, there's a GTR, behind me is a Porsche, behind him is a Ford GT. So a good range of cars being used here, which is always good to see. I'm covering the inside now because Max Power has got a good slipstream. Again, a textbook defense, not relinquishing the inside and then not overshooting the corner. Just gives the car behind no chance really of overtaking unless they pull off something miraculous. And a lot of the time, that's just how these races go. It's a case of it's not always having to do the spectacular things. It's about doing the basic things correctly every time and not making a mistake. And sometimes that's what it's all about. So far, I think we've done that. I haven't done anything truly spectacular, just made the right decisions at the right time and not made any glaring errors. And also, again, not had any cars facing perpendicular on the apex of Degner 2. Anyway, pulling away there towards the hairpin. Can we get it a little bit better this time? Purple through sector 2 there. On the brakes, releasing the brake. The car just doesn't quite want to rotate as much as I would like it to. And I think I just need to crank a bit more angle on the wheel to get it to do that. So that's an adjustment I need to start making. So a bit of deja vu here. On the back foot, on the long sweeping bend towards Spoon Curve with roughly 1 second gap to the cars in front. This race most certainly isn't over because of how close it is. And especially given that we're going to be moving on to the final lap then at the end of this one. Top 2 side by side, and that's always a good sign. That's what we love to see when you're in a group behind. As we kind of predict, the guys in front are going to start defending and fighting. And that gives me a lot of opportunity to reel them back in. So the top 6, as you see on that shot, all in very close contention. As lap in front has a massive moment, does well to keep that under control, but does slow him down. I'm therefore able to move up into 3rd place at the beginning of the final lap here. So pretty good timing, ascendancy in this race. Is it possible to gain these 2 positions? Again, yes it is. Will I do it? Maybe. All I can do now really is just try to put in a quick lap and really put some pressure on 2nd place and hope that a mistake is coming, or hope that we can seize an opportunity and getting another position. It's been a really good race so far. I hope you'll agree that the races throughout the course of this video have got better and better. You know, the opening ones were fairly safe and standard. Nothing too much going on, but as we came through to this 5th and final race of the video, the progress has been really good. And that's always a good sign in any session of sim racing. So the BMW once again having a very hard time getting any rotation through the hairpin, and so is very much on the back foot. The leader has some clear air now and should win this from here. Looking up the inside, that would be a brave move from there. Wasn't quite close enough to really go for that one. And so we have to tuck in behind and try to get this overtake done in the last couple of corners. He drives a bit wide there, and the Lamborghini is trying to come back at me here. So this is a bit of an awkward moment. Unfortunately, it just resolves itself as we head back to single file. But he's going to have dirty tyres as the car in front. And as a result, drives very wide, gets even more dirty tyres. I'm on the outside. I've got the grip. I'm hoping he doesn't barrel into the side of me. And he doesn't. So we move up into second, and I must say that was a really enjoyable race. 7th to 2nd. Get in there, Lewis. Miracles do happen, mate. That was a really good race. That was a really good race. I'm so happy with that. Rightfully so. Very happy with that one. Now, you might have spotted as we watch the end of this race again. Look in the background. Got max power with a beautiful 360 entry. And as I say goodbye for this video, I'll just leave you with this beautiful moment. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.